now I can see everyone. Nice. Imagine what glasses will do.
All right, we're ready to call this meeting to order.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, I've got Vice Mayor to the left of me now. Good. Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. So we're going to start the meeting. I think Councilwoman Weber will be here shortly. So we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would love for my good friend Donna Clontz to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll go ahead and call roll for the Thursday, August 25th special City Council meeting. Councilmember Breckus, absent at this time. Duer. Here. Delgado. Here. Weber, absent at this time. Reese. Here. Sheevy.
Here.
Madam Mayor, you do have a quorum of the Reno City Council.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to send it right back to you for public comment.
Thank you. Our first item today is general public comment. It should be noted for those in the audience that comments are to be addressed to the mayor and council as a whole. Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the council's agenda. Please note that council may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you're called on for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name, and you will be afforded 3 minutes. If you're an attendee in the Zoom meeting and would like to make general public comment, please raise your hand at this time. Lastly, while in this room, please be respectful. Warnings will be issued by the presiding officer if there is disruptive behavior, and you will be asked to leave chambers if the behavior continues. Our first general public commenter today is Donna Clontz.
And you're first up.
Thank you. Are we on? Yes. Morning, Madam Mayor, Mr. City Manager, and Council. My name's Donna Clontz. I live in Ward 5, and so I'll be doing a little public comment later on your agenda. But I wanted to talk to you about two other things that are really important to our senior community. I've given the clerk a handout. Every one of you should have one. About the first item is about Paradise Park. And we, the senior community, is really concerned that the city might lease that activity center building to a nonprofit. That building has been senior recreation premier for many, many years, ever since I've lived here, and I've been in Reno since 1999. And so there will be a bunch of public meetings where we're rallying seniors. We had about 90 folks at the Park and Rec Commission meeting about it, who almost all, there was just one person who really spoke up about supporting it. Almost all said, please don't do this. We have 1,500 seniors, low-income seniors that live right there nearby who can walk, and they would be hard-pressed to get on buses and have to go to anywhere else. No other places that have been suggested are actually feasible and usable by the seniors. So I'm just alerting you, the issue is out there. You may be hearing from the community if you haven't already, and we're looking forward to having a conversation about all of this stuff. Second of all, I wanted to just talk to you briefly about the age-friendly activity that we've been involved in, and thank you to the council for getting us started back in 2018 with our Reno age-friendly, and it's grown to Sparks. City of Sparks has now got an age-friendly activity that's just getting started, and Washoe County will be creating one soon. So all three entities will be working on age-friendly activities together. The age-friendly group that meets these days is about 140 people, and we talked about the Paradise Park situation, and we agreed in consensus that we would support keeping Paradise open, continuing to attend these meetings, getting as many community members as possible involved so that you can hear from everybody about this. The age-friendly group is supporting keeping Paradise and increasing it. The second part of that issue around Paradise Park is that I think all of you are aware that Paradise Park has got its problems in terms of safety. It has become a place that there are many aggressive homeless there that cause issues to the folks around it. There's drug issues that have been in the past and I hear continue. There's just a feeling of it's not a safe place to take a walk or take my kids into to play at the playground or go there for a picnic. And it's time we change that. I am setting up meetings with Reno Police Department about their community policing to see if we can organize the community around working on getting Paradise Park back to a place that we all can feel safe in and welcomed in so that people will come back to Paradise Activity Center who are afraid to go out there. I've heard this from many of the folks that live around there that they just don't like to walk there or be around it because they never know what's going to pop out, and it's not been good. So please be aware. We're working on that. We look for your support on that one as well. So thank you so much for your time. See you later.
Thank you.
Ms. Klontz, also, is Friday the close of the senior games, Friday night?
Oh, that's what yes, next Friday is closed. This is Beanbag Baseball. So.
Thank you so much.
And you'll be happy to know that we are going to put in a bid to host the National Senior Games.
Absolutely great.
So it'll be good.
Thank you.
Yay.
Charles Oglebot, followed by James Fleming via Zoom, and Megan O'Farrell via Zoom.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. My name is Charles Oglebot. I live at 5431 Morningstar Drive in Northwest Reno. I live in Ward 5. I'm here to provide publicly my support to Mr. Elliot Malin. He is one of the many, many distinguished and very, very qualified candidates for the opening for Ward 5 council member position. I've known Mr. Malin for a really long time, and I know him to be an upright and moral man. And his ability to stand up, or his ability to stand up for what is right, and ability to go across party lines and collaborate about issues and about things to do to address those issues is it's going to be very useful to the city council. It would help the city council to go further the right direction and lead the city to succeed. And he has been involved in a lot of community events. He has been involved in a lot of community organizations that give back to Reno. And he has a lot of experience that goes beyond the city. He has a lot of experience with the state. So I just want to implore the members of the committee or the council who's going to pick the finalists today, I think, to highly consider Mr. Malin. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
James Fleming via Zoom. James, please unmute, state your name for the record, and begin speaking. Okay, we're going to go to our next commenter in the meantime, which is Megan O'Farrell. Oh, never mind.
Oh, sorry, it went back to me. I'd like to follow up on a June meeting that the council did when they revised Chapter 18, which has to do with development in Reno. And I think it's followed an alarming trend. It's been going on in Reno. You guys probably have noticed that the Jacobs development is not going very well. Still mostly dirt patches and parking lots where there used to be some affordable housing. There's a reason for that. It is the 1966 highway legislation. There's not allowed to be development, large signs other than housing or like gas stations, fix-it shops within 500 feet of the Lincoln Highway. And that is currently it's an existing road that was paid for by the federal government. And that's why Reno is the way that it is. It's motor lodges with the exception of like Casales and Gold and Silver, which predate the legislation. I mean, Gold Dust West kind of exception that proves the rule because it's so far back from 4th Street. So you see what I'm saying? And that has never been addressed, that they can't develop on 4th Street. Everyone's just kind of sneaky about it. And I think that the 45 million that we're planning on borrowing for a bond issue for flood prevention is the same thing. I don't think it's going to save Lockwood next time there's a 1997 flood, type flood. And I've noticed that the big equipment like the dewaterifiers or the water purifiers that are part of that big project around the Truckee, those are instantly being privatized. That's in the new Chapter 18 documents that you don't have to take my word for it. And who owns that land where it will be privatized? Of course, Jacobs. And so now we're back. And I think we're better than that. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next public commenter is Megan O'Farrell.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Please state your name for the record and begin speaking.
Thank you. My name is Megan O'Farrell for the record, and I'm calling in today to request that the City Council use their best discretion to help select a candidate for our Ward 5 council seat position. It's unfortunate that we were not able to have a public special election to be able to allow the community to vote for this position ourselves. But in that place, you're in a position to be able to select a candidate for us that reflects what we are looking for in terms of support for our community. And there are many people on the list of applicants right now who are pillars in our community, who are working as inclusive and diverse members to support how we move forward, and they would be great additions to our city council. And so I would highly encourage everyone on the council today to please take the consideration of the public commenters, both here today and through digital inserts, to be able to ensure that you're listening to the community as they're asking for this support. And so I personally would love to recommend, and I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's names, Tara Webster, Jacqueline Duron, Ersin Witten, and Zelalem Bogal. All of these folks are people who are pillars again in our community and come from a wide range of backgrounds and are in service to our community and would be wonderful additions to our city council. So I hope you consider them in your nominations. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, with that, we have no additional general public comment. So we're moving into item A4, approval of the agenda.
You know what, Madam Clerk, before we start, because I want to make sure I follow process. And maybe this should go under public comment. So what I want to say is that I think many of us really wanted to have a special election because we thought the timing was so close to this election that we just thought no brainer that you could have it on there. And then we found out it was 8 months, and that's quite a long time to leave that seat vacant. And especially there's a lot of work that's happening, and we all serve on countless boards and commissions. And so I just think, it makes sense to do this process. I would also like to say, and I don't know, Madam Clerk, if it's possible, but I really think that I would love to have Councilwoman Breckus participate in the process. Many of you guys know we disagree a lot on various things, but I think it's important as a body for all of us to weigh into this decision. She was part of the process when we selected Councilman Bobzian and Councilman Reese. I think they were both your top picks. And then we also went through a judge's appointment, which, my candidate didn't get selected. And sometimes, that's just the way it happens. And so, just because, you know, you might not have, you lost one vote, we still would, you know, love to see the body participate in the process. And, you know, I value her input greatly, and I don't know if it's possible, if you could, you know, get her on the phone. You know, I really think it's important.
Mayor Shearer, are you asking to call a recess to see if we can get Councilmember Breckus?
I absolutely would.
Okay, so we will call a recess at 12:23 and reconvene hopefully in about 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor,
Madam Clerk?
thank you. So we will reconvene at 12:31 with
Were you
Councilmember
able-
Breckus absent. I was unable to reach her by phone, email, and text message. So at this point, we can choose to proceed
Okay,
or continue this meeting.
thank you. And you know, that's too bad, because I value her input. So, and the other thing I kind of want to say is that I think we forget, like, with ward-only voting, and it's something that I honestly haven't supported, because I think we all have to be rooting for Reno. And then a lot of times what happens is like, oh, that's not in my ward. It doesn't make a difference. And and matter of fact, if you think about it, at times, you know, maybe you live in Ward 1, but you have a business in Ward 5, and still the things and the decisions that we make affect all of us. So I would just, you know, remind my council members, and even sometimes I'll show up to groundbreakings, and I get one council member, and it used to be where all council members used to show up and participate. And I just, you know, I just have this philosophy, you all have to be rooting for Reno, even if we disagree at times, you know, so. So, Madam Clerk, if she should happen to ping you, I absolutely welcome her participation.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so where are we at?
We are on item A4, approval of the agenda.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilwoman Reese, a second from Councilwoman Weber. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. So we're moving into our item of the day, which is discussion and potential direction to staff regarding the finalist selection process and the selection of finalists for the Ward 5 City Council member vacancy. We'll start today with public comment on this item, with which we have quite a few. So I'll just remind those in the audience, when you step up to the podium, please state your name for the record, and we will begin the timer. We do have several commenters today, so you will be getting 3 minutes. And please remember to be timely when the timer goes off. Please step back for the next individual. Alex Goff is our first commenter today.
My name is Alex Goff, for the record. Good morning, Mr. Manager, Madam Mayor, members of the council. It's an honor to be considered as an applicant. A lot of really good people on that list, so I look forward to seeing who will come out. Today, when I was coming in, I took down the stairwell and I saw a sign that said, "You are enough." And there was a lot of time in my life where I didn't believe I was enough. I'm the oldest of 3, raised by a single mom. We had domestic violence in our household. Started around the time that she got married to my stepfather. I was like 9 years old, so I could see 9-year-olds today. And I can imagine I would always try to get really big to try to protect my family. And so my mom made a brave decision to divorce my stepdad when I was a teenager, which made me the oldest, and I had to help out around the house. I had to get a job to help out with the finances because she could provide the basics. She went to school to become a nurse, which now she is a travel nurse. And a lot of people say education was her pathway out. Education wasn't my pathway out. I graduated at the bottom of my class, and that was after 5 years. So, and finally, when I did graduate, I knew people who didn't graduate who had higher GPAs than I did, but maybe they didn't have enough credits. Marine Corps changed my life. I had the opportunity to join when I was 19 years old. I traveled the world. Served in Iraq. I met my wonderful wife, Rebecca, and then we moved to Northern Nevada. First, we moved to Fernley because we couldn't afford to live in Reno. We saved up enough money. In 2017, we finally moved to Reno, and fortunate enough to have had opportunities to serve this community. I currently serve as chair of the City of Reno's Human Rights Commission. I'm a graduate of the Reno Citizens Institute, which I'm also really involved with the Democratic Party, but I learned about the importance of nonpartisanship going through that. There was a presentation from the Public Works Department where they showed how they repair pipes. And I don't think you could repair pipes or in a partisan way. So it's important that this work remains nonpartisan. Also, yesterday I wrote in my application about opportunity in the city, which is why I signed up. And there were so many presentations yesterday about opportunity. Judge Hazlett Stevens gave a wonderful presentation about opportunity through the community courts. I first met Judge Hazlett Stevens when I was a volunteer mentor for the City of Reno's Veterans Court, which is a diversionary court program. I was assigned a veteran from the Vietnam era, and I think that we had the opportunity to learn so much from each other, and I was thankful for that experience. Lastly, though I said I struggled in high school, I just graduated with my master's degree from Cornell. And I was asked to speak for our cohort. And so I actually, as part of that speech, read from my statement of purpose, which 30 seconds I'll read. The last line of my statement of purpose said, "If I'm admitted when I finish this program, I'm not sure the exact direction I would want to go in. I have ideas, but what I know is that it will be centered on my community. Service is important to me, and I believe this program will allow me to be better in service to that goal." And so service is something I've always sought out. And recently I ran for the assembly and I lost in a primary. And the last thing I would like to say with 10 minutes is that losing a race doesn't make you a loser. It doesn't make you a failure. But I think that it's important to continue to find opportunities to serve. And I know if that this isn't it, that I will continue to work with you all to find those opportunities to serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Wow, you eloquently stepped away. It was very graceful. I love it.
Additionally, if there are members in the Zoom meeting that would like to make public comment, please raise your hand at this time. Phil Shiccoloni, followed by Mike Givens, followed by Gary Cecil.
Good afternoon. For those of you I don't know in the room, my name is Phil Shiccoloni, and I spent my entire adult life working for the Reno Police Department before I finally retired. And I believe that experience, plus the fact that I lived in Ward 5 for 42 of my 50 years on this earth, qualifies me to speak about that vacant position and my endorsement of Jacob Williams. Furthermore, I spent my last 12 years as a robbery homicide detective, where unfortunately I was on a task force with the FBI to investigate several high-ranking City of Reno department heads and council members. None of you guys, relax, before your time. But that unique journey gave me insight into the world of the council and what you guys do and how you affect this community in a positive way. That's why I believe Jacob is a perfect fit for this council. He's a retired, my time didn't go off, by the way.
It's right in front of you.
Oh, yeah, it's not going off. Oh, okay, I'm looking here, sorry. Yeah, well, Jacob is a retired law enforcement officer with a proven track record of honor, integrity, fairness, level-headedness, and I believe he'd bring that to this council. I've served with Jacob the last 2 years on the Somerset Board of Directors, and I can tell you this, Jacob's a doer. He's a go-getter. He's been our liaison to our Ward 5 councilwoman. He's tackled several major issues in our community that involved the county commission and the state. He's got positive results from those. Just a few of the things he spearheaded on our committee and brought to fruition, several $1 million in projects to include much needed wildfire abatement and prevention process, water conservation and rights deals. He's brought numerous flashing crosswalks and signs and major capital improvements to our swimming pools, golf course, and resident facilities. Prior to Jacob being our vice president, this stuff was on the back burner for the last 8 years. Jacob's a great board member. He's a very loyal, engaged member of our community. He's a dedicated father and a great neighbor. Like I said, I've spent my entire adult life dealing with the worst Reno has to offer, and I believe Jacob is one of the best things we have to offer. That's why I'm endorsing him. And I'd like to thank you guys for your time, and you'll see me back here at a later date to endorse Ollie Miller for Chief of Police, because he's an incredible homegrown talent, and I would follow Ollie into a burning building anytime. So keep that in mind. Thank you. I know we got fire guys here.
That's gonna be Tom's job. Thank you for your service. You look too young to retire. We have openings. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Mike Givens, followed by Gary Cecil, followed by Chuck Walker.
Hello, my name is Mike Givens. I don't speak in front of groups very often,
That's
so
all right.
I'm going to go ahead and go with this one. I'm here on behalf of Jacob Williams as well. Give you a little bit of history of myself. I'm a fifth generation born and raised in Reno, Nevada. Very rare family, very long family history. I'm a local real estate agent in Reno. I got the opportunity to meet Jacob when he reached out to me to find him and his family a home. My first 30 minutes on the phone with him, I clicked with him instantly. I got to learn more about Jacob through the process of purchasing a home. Through there, I learned that Jacob is an amazing family man. His support as far as his commitment to law enforcement, I got to learn that he is truly there to help others, and there's no one that I actually respect more than law enforcement, firefighters, and our medical field. Through that process, as soon as we had got a home, I myself am a resident of Somerset. I frequently do join our Somerset board meetings, of which Jacob was awarded a position on our board. Since then, I have seen a tremendous change in our Somerset community. In general, he's done an amazing job. The way that he communicates with the people, the way that he listens, the way that he takes into account everything that people have to say, and then when he comes up with results, there always have been positive sides. I could say, being a fifth generation born and raised here, I deal with a lot of people in our community that are from here, have lived here 20-something years, and in the period of time that I've known Jake, I could actually tell you that he's more Nevadan than most people I've ever met. So, thank you.
Thank you. What did you say your name was?
Michael Givens.
Michael Givens.
GIV is in Victoria.
G-I-V, okay. Thank you.
Gary Cecil, followed by Chuck Walker, followed by James Cooper.
Hello, Gary.
Good morning, Madam Mayor. Good morning, council members. Several of you last week reached out to the public for engagement. You actually asked us to participate with the selection of a new Ward 5 council member. And a group of residents did work together to answer your call. We came at it from a different route. Yeah. Rather than recommending one person, we first of all, like you, no doubt, we read individually through each of the 36 applications, clicking, and we made our personal choices, kind of in our own echo chamber. Then on Monday, we met and spent several hours, actually multiple hours, sharing our opinions sharing some of the personal knowledge that we have of the candidates, confirming what qualities we wanted in our Ward 5 resident, and then we voted. And here's the tally sheet. It was a very interesting experience. My opinion was changed a few times, and I think I changed a few people's opinion. Our collective preferences are in your agenda packet. And on behalf of Sonny Allen, Carly Borshard, Jill Flansreich, Ken McNeil, Pam McNeil, Art Rangel, and me, Gary Cecil, I hope you'll give them your attention. By the way, this list includes 3 with Ward 5 NAB experience, a Belvedere HOA board member, 3 members of the Montage's Community Affairs Committee, an advisory board member for TMWA, the chair of the WTM Verdi CAB, and a member of the Verdi Community Council. Our group has residents of downtown, Verdi, and Somerset. I hope you will agree that our group volunteers significant time to our community and that we have considerable skin in this selection game. Our group is committed to participating in every step of the appointment process up until your final decision on September 7th. And for the next 2 years leading up to the November 2024 election, we will be working. And in the next 2 years, we will be recruiting more resident participants. And finally, and just speaking for myself now, I'd like to make one further request. There are very powerful interest groups in Ward 5. I've seen them leverage their power at many planning commission meetings. Please choose a Ward 5 council member who will have the backs of the residents, so we always have a proxy seat at the table. And if we can be of any help to you in the selection process, please let us know. We're glad to help. Thank you.
Gary, I was so impressed when you came back with that. I actually think that should be part of the process moving forward.
We would be very much like to do that. Thank you.
Very, very appreciative.
Chuck Walker, followed by James Cooper, followed by Earston Witten.
Mayor Sheevy and members of the council, my name is Chuck Walker. Since 2006, my wife and I, I'm sorry, is that better? Since 2006, my wife and I have been residents of Somerset when I retired. I'm a graduate of the Reno Citizens Institute, and for a period of time, I served on the Reno Financial Board Committee, Subcommittee. I care about the community from some of the service I provided with city and other local activities. I believe it's important that the candidate that you choose for the Ward 5 replacement is knowledgeable of what's going on in Ward 5 and mirrors who the voters would select if they had the opportunity. A candidate should demonstrate a clear understanding of Ward 5 issues first and foremost. They should understand differences between collaboration and compromise, be nonpartisan and non-beholden to any special interest group, which would stand to gain from their voting position on the City Council. In reviewing the candidates, 2 candidates stand out to me. The first, Kathleen Taylor, has an impressive resume, but I also see some red flags in her presentation. During her time as a member and chairman of the Planning Commission, multiple controversial decisions have been made focused in support of developers, short-term construction, employment, enhanced tax base, rather than focusing on the long-term value for the residents of Reno. Kathleen Taylor's filing shows she's also only been a resident of Ward 5 for a very few months. When we moved here, it took me over a year to figure out what's going on in Northwest Reno. So I don't believe a person in 4 or 5 months can really grasp all the issues that are going on in our area of the city of Reno. Her focus is on planning skills, working in developments with minimal dealings in safety, police, fire, recreation, public works, or other agency relationships, which you council members all serve as members of boards on. She would, to me, in my opinion, be a greater value as a member of the planning department of the city and work on a longer-term, all-encompassing plan to the benefit of the city. The second candidate is Jacob Williams. He served the last 2 years as vice president and board member of Somerset. When he was elected, the organization was somewhat dysfunctional. He's brought ideas and creativity that has not been seen on the board prior to that time. He has actively and aggressively worked toward a positive position and collaborative results which have benefited both Somerset and the residents of the area. He works with city, fire, police, Public Works, Recreational Departments, and has been successful in making things happen in our community. This year alone, he's saved us over $100,000 and come up with some creative ideas for increased enhanced productivity. He's worked with Councilwoman Jordan, and I believe that he would benefit you members of the council as an additional member to your team. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And you're right on time. Good job. Thank you.
Next up, we have, I lost my scroll here. James Cooper, followed by Erston Witten, followed by Donna Klontz.
Good afternoon, Mayor Sheevy and members of the council. My name is James Cooper, and I'm here today to provide a brief introduction as to who I am and why I've applied to be appointed to serve as a council member for Ward 5. I'm a native Nevadan, born in Fallon. I've lived in Reno and in Sparks since 2004, and my wife Joy and I bought a home in Ward 5 just this March, and we feel incredibly at home here. We share our home with my 7-year-old son Calvin and our pandemic pup Penny Petunia. I'm currently a manager and senior inspector for an environmental construction services company. I have a background in construction management with an environmental focus, helping builders and developers maintain environmental compliance. I truly get to save the environment here locally a little bit every day, and I love that. Why am I here today asking for this appointment? Historically, I have not been involved in local government or politics, but I'm very interested in Reno's future, and I believe I can make a positive impact for Ward 5 and for our community as a whole. For the past 4.5 years, I've had my finger on the pulse of local construction and development, visiting job sites throughout Reno and beyond, weekly and sometimes more often. I've seen the development of Ward 5 and the city up close and personal over the past several years, and I believe this experience to be unique and invaluable to this council should I be appointed. I have a knack for reading and digesting large, complex data and do so often, such as environmental permits, contracts, etc., and I'm quite comfortable reading and understanding civil and architectural plans. I feel I'm an excellent reader and listener, and I'm prepared to provide a very thoughtful analysis and do the necessary research for whatever topics are brought before me to ensure I make the best choices when participating with the council and any commissions or boards I may be appointed to volunteer for. Lastly, a lot of folks in our community want to see someone outside the inner circles appointed to this council. I'm a regular guy. I'm not in any special interest groups. I'm a longtime Reno resident who loves Reno, and I believe I have the skill set to learn how to best represent my ward in the city. So I appreciate your consideration for my appointment to serve as council member for Ward 5. Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks.
Kirsten Witten, followed by Donna Klontz, followed by Jim Pilsner.
Good afternoon. You've all seen me before. I'm Erston Witten. A little bit of background. You have my resume, so I won't go through all of that. I've been in Reno for 15 years, 9 of those years in Ward 5. And I came here from Chicago after having spent 31 years in the insurance industry, the last 3 of which was heavily involved in expense management, managing a $500 million budget from planning to tracking through the course of the entire year and then adjusting as the business situation changed. So I have not run for an office before in my life other than in college, but I see an opportunity here. Give you an example. For the past 4 years, my wife and I have been involved in growing healthy food for individuals, and we're now on a project to give individuals the opportunity to learn how to grow food themselves, to learn how to be more self-sufficient, to learn skills so they can add value to the community. As a member of this group, I would have to do a few things. One is listen to the constituents, bring their concern to the agenda topics at various meetings that occur here, to work with members of the council, individually and or as a group, to come up with mutually agreeable solutions to the various problems. Because those problems are not simple. There is no one answer, and it includes more than just the Ward 5, which includes, as you all know, I'm not going to repeat that here, but it includes the entire city. And we have to work together to do what's best for the city. That's going to require compromise. It's going to require collaboration. It's going to require sharing ideas that you may or may not agree with. But yet, the ultimate goal is doing things for the benefit of the city. I'll give you a couple of things that were not in my resume. When I first came to Reno, I was the safety manager for the build-out of the women's shelter downtown on Record Street. It was a shell of a building then, and we actually, Building Solutions was the company, actually built the entire inside of that. I was also the safety manager when the Veterans Center built an emergency room, and so that kind of got me involved. Briefly, I've been on the Food Co-op Board for 7 years, 5 as the chair, and I've been on the Nevada Women's Fund for the last 3 years. So I've been heavily involved in this community. I will continue to do that, whether you accept me or not, but my goal is to make this a better place for people to live and a location where individuals want to come to and really enjoy their life. Thank you for the opportunity to share these thoughts.
Thank you. Excellent.
Donna Clance, followed by Jim Pilsner, followed by Jacob Williams.
Morning again, Madam Mayor, Mr. City Manager and Council. My name is Donna Clance. I have lived in Ward 5 since 2019, so it's been a long time. I live in the area near the Northwest Library, which is kind of center of the complexes and homes and so on that are out there. Saw the Somerset development get built, and one of the things that our ward has needed for a really long time is a senior center. We have our lovely library, but we'd love to have that happen as well. I've become an advocate pretty much most of my time now for our senior community, so I would like to support folks that we'll listen to everything that's going on, but our senior community seems to be getting kind of left out of things these days, and I'd like someone who could take an active role in that. We have a lot of seniors living in that Somerset development, and they have a lot of their own resources, but there are a lot of other folks that are in the lower income places and apartments and small homes around there that could use the council's attention, so I'm advocating for that. I have names in mind. Alex Goff, I met when he was campaigning for the assembly, and I know from talking to him and getting to know him that he understands what it would mean to sit on the seat here in the council and to campaign actively and be out there willing and ready to listen to the constituents that have their comments. And he's got the skills to go through all of the tremendous paperwork that you all have to read and to analyze and then make decisions on. Mac Rossi, I've known forever. He is someone who knows the community up and down. He has served on almost every community board that exists with the city of Reno. I was chair myself of the Northwest NAB, Ward 5 NAB, for several years along with Mac, and then served as the chair of the Reno Senior Citizen Advisory Committee and continue to do that at Washoe County. I'm looking for someone who has experience and would support someone who's got experience with the city, who understands the give and take that is needed, has the capacity to make those complicated decisions, and to listen especially to the people that they represent in the city of Reno. It's hard, I know, to stand up to some of the heavily financed groups that are out there that really want their decision to happen. So people need to be able to listen to that and also listen to the people. So there's an Albert Rogers on the list. If that's the Al Rogers who was the manager of Reno Rec and then Washoe Rec, is it? Because I didn't get all the way through all the names. I would love to see him be one of your finalists. I've known him forever as well, and I know from the work he's done in the city of Reno and at Washoe County that he's got the capacity to do all of those things. And then I just heard about Jacob Williams today from his supporters, and I think he would be outstanding. So those are the 4 that I would put forward, and I'm not sure how many you were going to narrow down to today, but I thought it was 5 to 10. So thank you for your time.
Jim Pilsner, followed by Jacob Williams, followed by Dolores Schaefer-Witten.
Mayor, City Council members, my name is Jim Pilsner. I live at 2110 Peavine Creek Road. I know some of you from the past. I think I've been in Reno almost 40 years, probably 25 of which I lived in Ward 5. I've participated in much of the development of Ward 5. I know much of the background. You've got a great group of people here. My thought, and I didn't put the application in until I think 3 o'clock Friday. I thought about it, prayed about it, had anxiety about it, but I thought I offer experience. I offer tremendous community knowledge. I thank God I owe nothing to nobody. I sold my business 2.5 years ago, just before COVID. I think God looked down on me for that. I got out of there. So I'm here for answer any questions. I love Reno. I was born in Detroit. I grew up in Detroit, but Reno is my hometown. I'd be honored to serve with you. I'd really be honored to serve for Reno. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. And you did serve on the council at one time. What, right?
I don't tell a lot of people. You had no idea.
You did. Well, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you for paying attention.
I was looking, it was impressive. Nice job.
Jacob Williams, followed by Dolores Schaefer Witten, followed by, Sheila Pichot.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Honorable Mayor and City Council, my name is Jacob Williams, and I'm here today to ask for your opportunity to represent the now vacant Ward 5. Let me first begin by openly congratulating former council member Neoma Duron on her new position in the Downtown Reno Partnership. As an extremely passionate advocate for our ward, she's going to be truly missed. Her work was smart, dignified, and most importantly, collaborative, and our ward very much benefited from it. My first introduction, Ms. Duron was completing the newly built West Park located in Somerset. It's a wonderful addition to the city parks and has a large open space playground, 2 dog parks, and a community garden. And according to her, it has the best view in all of the city. Our community was heavily involved with the design and the completion of that park, thanks to Ms. Duron. She gave us every opportunity possible to make it what it is today. From then on, our interactions became more frequent as I believe she came to understand how much I care about this community. We went on to collaborate on many projects, including the celebration of a permanently fully staffed Fire Station 19, a city-sponsored art project in which our residents of the community were involved in selecting a giant metal hot air balloon, showing honor to our great Reno balloon race. We worked on off-road issues in our community, pedestrian safety problems, which now resulted in new flashing crosswalk signs, speed-related issues in partnership with the Reno Police Department that improved public safety. Mrs. Duron and her staff have been some of the greatest examples of civil service I've ever experienced. It is those qualities I want to continue to deliver. While her shoes will be impossible to fill, I submitted my application to complete what Ms. Duron started with the same values, ethics, and pride in Ward 5 that she had, because that's what the people of Ward 5 overwhelmingly voted for every time she ran for office. I'd also like to congratulate and thank all the applicants that signed up for this position. It's very hard in these trying times of political division, and they should all be applauded. Thank you.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you, ma'am.
CHP?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So polite and sweet. Thank you. Good job.
Dolores Schaefer Witten, followed by Sheila Pichot, followed by Elliot Mallon.
Mayor and council members, thank you for having us here today. And I am here to talk just a little bit about my husband, Erskine Witten, who has applied for the position in Ward 5. You know, we started Soulful Seeds 3.5 years ago. We thought we were going to do small community gardens, but 3.5 years later, we're now doing a 2.6 acre garden on the Our Place campus. That's not a very old not-for-profit. And I have to tell you, in order to make that happen, you have to have somebody who can truly collaborate, can create partnerships, believes in the partnership between governments, individuals, businesses, and looks out for the welfare of the community. And I can tell you there's nobody more committed to that. I just want to give you an example. The Our Place campus is located on state land. It was leased by the city or by Washoe County. It's in the city of Sparks. So you can imagine how many players we had to deal with in order to make this project a fruition. And that would never have been done without Erston. He is passionate about this community. He is passionate about this community as his legacy. We've lived in Ward 5, and we're not planning on going anywhere. So I would urge you to truly consider Erston. I think he has the knowledge, he has the capabilities. I also think that he has the abilities to create collaborations, not only within Ward 5, but throughout the community as well. So thank you for your time.
Nice job, thank you.
Sheila Pichot, followed by Elliot Mallon, followed by Megan O'Farrell via Zoom.
Good afternoon. My name is Sheila Pichot, for the record. Mayor Sheevy, City Manager, members of the Reno City Council, fellow citizens, I'd like to thank you all for your time and civic participation in this process. I'd like to take just a moment to introduce myself. I always say some people are lucky enough to be born and raised in Reno. The rest of us just have to feel lucky that we landed here. So my family moved to Reno 7 years ago after living everywhere. We've lived in Paris, we've lived in Washington, D.C., we've lived in Cairo, Egypt. And we just feel so fortunate to be here because the people here are just so warm and welcoming. And I mean, let's face it, we live in heaven, right? It's just so beautiful here. My career began as a Peace Corps volunteer and as a civics instructor in Washington, D.C. After 20 years in higher education, I've retired recently from UNR to dedicate myself to a different aspect of public service. I would be so honored to be able to serve my home community in this way. If appointed, this, serving on Reno City Council, would be, along with raising my family, will be my full-time job. Ever since we moved here, my children have attended Washoe County schools and were active in athletics and the arts. Both my children are scouts, and I'm hoping to set an example for them that civic participation means more than just voting every 2 or 4 years. It means showing up for your neighbors every day, every week, and every month. Here's what you'll get by appointing me as Ward 5 City Council member. You'll get a listener, you'll get a thinker, you'll get a collegial communicator, someone who'll be constantly looking for common sense and innovative solutions to just making things work in our city. My vision for Reno is dynamic, vibrant, equitable, and beautiful. Thank you all again for your time and consideration. Thank you to everyone who stepped up to be part of this process. I'm honestly so chuffed just to be part of this distinguished pool of candidates, and I'm really looking forward to this process.
All right, great job.
All right. Next up, we have Elliot Malin, followed by Megan O'Farrell on Zoom, followed by Joel A. Santos.
It's the right height. First time in my life.
Don't
Elliot
worry, I have
Mallon.
the same problem.
I know. Story of my life. Elliot Mallon, for the record. I wasn't initially going to speak. But then I got to hearing everybody else, and I thought how lucky we are, not just myself as a candidate for this, but to have so many, 35 other people that love this city, that love this ward. I moved to Reno from Vegas. I grew up in Vegas. It was about 12 years ago. 11 of those 12 years I've spent in Ward 5. I started a nonprofit in Ward 5 that focused on giving opportunities for students to express their culture, their heritage, and their religion. I brought another nonprofit to Northern Nevada to service the Jewish community throughout our region, and as well as expanded the Anti-Defamation League up here. I love this city. I like to say that I fell in love in Reno twice, one with the city and then once with my wife. If I didn't add that caveat, I'd get in a lot of trouble, and the couch is not as comfortable. I have a very unique skill set, and I know most of you, and I know a lot of the people in this room. I think I have that unique skill set that brings a lot of diverse people to the table with the relationships that I have, having worked both statewide, at the legislature, with you all having amended Reno Municipal Code, working on SUPs, zoning variances with various groups to help them out. And a lot of the time, that wasn't for personal profit, that was just so I could do the right thing. And that's my goal here with the City Council, with the City of Reno, is just continue to do the right thing. I've lived all over the ward. At the university, I was in ASU1 once upon a time, a very long time ago. That was the only other time I ever, quote, ran for office. And I've never put my hat in the ring. I've been asked multiple times, and I always said, that's not right for me. There's somebody better to serve in that role. From statewide office to the assembly, I've always said, there's somebody better. When this opportunity popped up, I had a lot of people call and encourage me. And I was very fortunate to have some of our statewide electeds call and offer their encouragement and their support. And so for the first time, I'm actually doing this because I love Reno. I love being here. I love collaborating with all of you and working in a cohesive environment to do what's best for Ward 5 and the city of Reno. And at times, I've been the only person in this audience listening to the budget. So good luck today. Thank you. And we'll see what happens.
Thank you so much.
All right, next we have Megan O'Farrell on Zoom, followed by Joel A. Santos. We're pulling Ms. O'Farrell over right now.
Hello, my name is Megan O'Farrell again for the record, and I'm calling in again to just encourage our city council members to please make some decisions today about the candidates that they choose that are based around helping create a more equitable space for our city council. We have a lot of diverse people on the candidate list today, and many of which are representing folks on a more grassroots and community level. Somerset is not the only part of Ward 5 that's represented, and so it would be really helpful to have people in these spaces who also represent the community as a whole and can come with a diverse amount of backgrounds. Our city council could definitely benefit from having access to a new person who has grassroots level engagement with our community, who's working directly with the people. And again, I'd like to endorse 4 folks that stand out the most to me. Again, apologies for saying their name wrong if I did. Tara Webster, Jacqueline Duron, Erston Witten, and Zelalem Bogolo. I think that these folks have a great range of qualifications that stem from organization and community advocacy all the way to the Justice Department and supporting our community through that space, as well as food sovereignty and equitable access to food. So I encourage you to remember that while we are picking a candidate for this ward, that we're also choosing folks who are more reflective of the community around us. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you. Next up, we have Joel A. Santos, followed by Patrick Smith on Zoom and Jackie Duron on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Councilman, Mr. City Manager. My name is Joel Santos. And I think you guys have a very, very difficult decision to make. Because as I'm sitting here, I realize, wow, I'm with a lot of people from Reno that really, really want to see Reno continue to move forward. So I'm glad I put my application in because I was able to see a wide range of people that really, really love this city. being born and raised in Reno, it makes me feel really good knowing that people have that feeling of Reno needs to continue to move forward. So usually I'm not the one that people think about in a type of political office. That's usually my younger brother, Corey. But it was kind of odd because I woke up and I said, well, you know, that position's open. I started thinking about it, and then I got a text message from Corey saying, hey, I just heard that there's an opening on the city council. Are you in Ward 5? If you are, you're crazy if you don't apply. So I decided, you know, I'll give it a chance and see what happens. I love Reno. I want to see Reno continue to move forward. I know there's a lot of issues out there, and I want to help you, to give you my best to try to solve those issues. My position is kind of odd in that I'm kind of a magnet, in that a lot of people will call me up and say, Joel, there's an election. Who are we supposed to vote for? Will you come meet with us? There's friends of my parents, Bonnie and Bill, they live up in Ward 5, and they'll call me up. Will you please come over and meet with us? We'll cook you dinner and go over this. And we probably disagree on just about every political office, but we end our conversations with each other. We love each other. And I may change their minds once in a while. But people will come to me and they'll ask me, you know, I've got this problem. What should I do? And I think that because I seem to attract that kind of attention, for some reason, I'm not sure why, I think that will help me to listen to what the people of Ward 5 want and need and are concerned about. And on a final topic I'd like to say, which is outside of what I'm here, I hope that, I think it was Mrs. Clark, I hope that you guys will seriously consider putting in a senior center up in that area, because my mom used to teach water aerobics up at the Northwest Pool, and the people loved it. She had a very devoted class, and it was very important to the people up there. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And I was so fond of your father. He'd be very proud.
Up next, we have Patrick Smith via Zoom, who we will bring over shortly, followed by Jackie Duron on Zoom.
Mayor Sheevy, City Manager, councilors, and everyone participating in this meeting today. You each have my application packet, so I'll keep this brief. I'd like to take the opportunity to acknowledge everyone participating in this process. To give up work or personal time to be here, to go on public record in support of your chosen candidate, and to put yourself in the public eye are all challenges that you've taken on for the betterment of our ward and city. Sincerely, thank you for investing yourself in this city. Thank you for your time.
All right. Up next, we have Jackie Duron on Zoom.
Hi, folks. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. You may start. Say your name and please speak.
Great. Hi, everyone. Hi, Mayor Sheevy and City Council members. Mi nombre es Jackie Duron, or Jacqueline. I am a citizen of Ward 5 and a member of the Reno Sparks community. I really bring in the Reno Sparks perspective here because I grew up in Sparks. My parents moved from California when I was 2 years old, so Reno really is my home. I graduated with honors from Sparks High, attended the University of Nevada, Reno, and all in that time, I've lived in Sparks, in Ward 3 of Reno, in Ward 5 of Reno, then back to Sparks, and most recently moved back into Ward 5 of Reno. As a young person, I experienced houselessness when I was 17, when my mom could no longer afford the 2-bedroom apartment that we had right across the street from Sparks High. And so I moved between friends' houses around the area and my older siblings. houses when they had more than one bedroom, which was pretty rarely. And so I bring in kind of that perspective of being someone who is from this area, maybe hasn't grown up in Ward 5, but does understand the nuances of the folks most impacted by the decisions that the city of Reno makes. And so I put in my name for the vacancy on the council because I truly believe that we need to listen to the folks who are most impacted, most vulnerable, in order to truly give the resources to our community where all of us can thrive. This is all about ensuring that our families have the resources that they need to make decisions for themselves so that they can live in safe and healthy communities. And that starts with the most vulnerable, and that leads to folks who have access to stable housing, have access to money, and making sure that we're bringing in their perspectives, but without compromising the humanity and decency of folks who don't have access to some of these resources and this care. And so as someone who is from this community, works deeply with folks around healthcare and access to reproductive health, I sit as the vice president of the board of the Wild West Access Fund of Nevada, which supports both Nevadans and folks traveling into the state to access an abortion. I know what it's like when folks need more than just one resource. I know what it's like to make sure that our folks have a holistic view and holistic care from their community. And so I hope you'll consider me for a finalist of Ward 5. And I want to thank all of the other applicants and you all for your time.
And with that, I do not see that we have anyone else signed in the room. I do not see any hands raised on Zoom. I will disclose at this time that, for the record, we received 43 comments which were directly associated with the agenda item prior to 4 p.m. on August 24th, 2022. These comments were written correspondence received via our Reno.gov online public comment form or by email to our office. Copies of these comments have been distributed to the Reno City Council and are available to the public on the Reno.gov meeting portal. 41 of these were in favor and 2 expressed concern. We do have a series of voicemails, I believe, that we will now play. C1, correct.
My name is Adam Webster. I'm voicing my support for Tara Webster for Ward 5 member of City Council. I moved to Reno in 2015 when I took an engineering position at NV Energy. I met my now wife Tara a few months after that. She was completing her master's degree in biology at UNR, which she earned in 2016. Tara is a dedicated and passionate member of the Reno and Northern Nevada community. Her professional experience and education have revolved around lifting up and advocating for her community. This includes having been an instructor at UNR for the WISE, Women in Science and Engineering program, whose mission includes enrichment and retention of women beginning their engineering college education. Tara's postgraduate area of research focuses on incorporating political and non-technical considerations into engineering curriculums. Tara also has extensive personal experience in creating a vibrant, socially aware, and empathetic community. She volunteers in many aspects of our community. She's a poll worker for elections, cooks food weekly for our homeless, and fundraising. She also does fundraising for these programs. Her work in the community is a labor of love that is central to her daily life. She cares deeply about the work and the people it supports. The Office of the Mayor and City Council have been doing a great job defining a vision and mission for the city and then implementing that mission. The current council has extensive and impressive legal, administrative, and planning backgrounds. As a candidate for Ward 5, Tara Webster will bring a perfect complementary background and skill set to the council. She's a lifelong resident of the Reno community. Her professional and personal experiences have a focus of crossing disciplines, which helps to mesh a community together. Her cross-discipline and cross-department skills are exactly what the council and our city need to implement the majority of the Tier 1 and 2 priorities laid out by Mayor Sheevy and City Council. Thank you, and I appreciate your time in hearing my support for Tara Webster as my Ward 5 council member.
Hello, my name is Antonio Quintana, and I would like to show my support for Tara Webster for Ward 5 City Council member. She would be an asset to this community, and it would be wonderful if she could represent my ward, which is Ward 5, for Reno City Council. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to second the nomination or advocate for whatever it is, but the point is Tara Webster would be wonderful as Ward 5 City Council member. Thank you.
Hi, I'm calling in support of Tara Webster for City Council Ward 5. I think she would be a great fit and would be a voice for the city. My name is Christian Fossbender, 775-247-1430.
Hello, my name is Jamal Tarkington, and I am calling in regards to my support being given to Miss Tara Webster. Yes, Miss Tara Webster is running for a seat, I think, Ward 5 for City Council. I have known her for a number of years. She is an ideal educator, as well as a citizen and activist in this area. So once again, I am calling to put on record, my name is Jamal Tarkington. I am in support of Tara Webster for City Council for Ward 5. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katie Chandler. I am a resident of Reno, and I'm calling in support of Erston Witten to fill the Ward 5 seat. If not him, I also strongly support Tara Webster. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Krista Wanafried. I'm leaving a public comment at 10 a.m. on August 24th for the August 25th special meeting regarding the replacement of the Ward 5 City Councilor. I would like to voice my support for Tara Webster as a resident of Ward 5. Please take my comments into consideration since this has not been made open for a public vote. Thank you. Bye-bye.
My name is Talia Hirschway, and I'm calling in today to advocate for Tara Webster to represent Ward 5 on the Reno City Council. Tara is a childhood friend of mine and a lifelong resident of Reno. I can attest that she not only has the education, acumen, achievements, and responsibility necessitated for a role in our city council, but she's also a person of integrity, tenacity, and above all, empathy. As an educator with a background in biology, Tara not only knows how to identify the needs of our community, but she also has a special understanding of how to teach people about those needs so that we might rally our neighbors around a common goal. She's a person of principle, which is evidenced through observable action. In her spare time, she volunteers to feed at-risk people in our community or work at the polls during election season in support of our most sacred democratic right. She's one of the most meticulous and organized people I've met, and she leverages these qualities to make meaningful changes. On a personal note, Tara is a talented DIY expert who has customized many elements of her home with this extraordinary skill. While mentioning someone's hobbies here may seem irrelevant, there actually is something valuable here to be unearthed. If Tara can't find the tools she needs to reach a desired outcome, she will build one herself to get us there. Without reservation, she has my highest recommendation for this post. Thank you for your time.
And with that, Madam Mayor, I believe we are done with the public comment that is signed up for this item.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to now send it to Madam Clerk to give us a presentation.
Hello, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Mickey Huntsman, City Clerk for the record. No presentation today, just a brief discussion so that you all can start to move into your deliberation period. So we have two discussion points and things that you need to decide on today. And the first is how many applications you would like to refer for consideration as finalists. And then the second, once we have done that, I would ask if we could take a brief recess while we distribute your scorecards. I'm sorry, backwards. I'm going to distribute your scorecards or your selection cards for you to then go ahead and make your selection on your finalists at that time. Once those have been completed, I'll ask for a brief recess with the body's permission so that we can go ahead and tally those selection cards. And then at that point, we would go ahead and reconvene and announce the votes and then take a vote on the confirming those finalists. So the first question today is how many? So that's your first discussion point.
All right, thank you. So I would like, first of all, we know how hard this is. I gotta tell you, I am so impressed, especially with the speakers that got up here today. And I gotta commend each and every one of you because it gives me a lot of hope. When we sit in these seats, you're criticized constantly. You know, you're sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't. We're living in this time where I've never seen seen politics so just angry and mean and nasty and so partisan too. That's another thing that's gotten so out of control, right? So I just want to, first of all, commend everyone for doing a tremendous job and really so thankful because you're giving me hope that good people want to serve. Because I was getting to the point where I was thinking that people don't want to do this job anymore. And it was really hard on my heart actually to decide to run another term. It was really hard. And especially I think when social media is just, it can be such a wonderful thing, but yet at the same time it can be really damaging and especially for your mental health. So that is the good news that I think it's given me a lot of hope that there's really great candidates out there. And I would say, please, you know, when I got elected, I brought back the NABs. And I really wanted to open the doors at City Hall for people to come and participate. And there's a lot of times I get, you know, we'll hear a presentation and you kind of think in your mind that you know how you feel about it. And then someone will come in public comment and say something and it makes you completely think and feel something else because they have knowledge you might not have had, right? And that's what I love about this process. And I would just say we've got to get more people engaged. So all 36 of you, I wish there was a seat for every single person. These are always very hard. But I also would say many of you, I think, would be great mayors, senators, even governors today. I was like way blown away. And I would just say, I think every single one of us would say, reach out to us because we only have one seat. But please stay involved. Get on a board or a commission. We need good people to serve in every single capacity. We just so need it now more than ever. And I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. So it's very, very hard. But I kind of remember, I'm trying to think if we're going to talk about the process and moving forward, because it's tough. I want to put like 35 people on my list, to be honest with you.
So in past appointments, the city council's generally chosen between 2 and 5 candidates to refer for the finalist interviews. So also those were for at-large positions where the pool of applicants was
Much
2
bigger.
or 3 times larger than what we have in front of us today.
Right. So I would like, just because I think there's so many and it's so hard, it really is, it's hard to choose from. But this is my recommendation and happy to have discussion on this, but I would like to go with 5. I think the council should choose up to 5, and then we could do the top 3 get interviewed. But then I remember when we did the judges selection, you remember Councilwoman Duron, we had ties in there, and I think that, you know, we should give them some deference. So, what is the caution of the body?
Yeah, I'll opine. This was an incredibly hard to sort through, especially because I was so sensitive to this issue because it is representing a ward. And so I was looking for that outreach. I loved hearing the comments today. Many of the candidates reached out to me directly. I tried to meet with as many as I could so I could get just a personal feel because frankly, They weren't as known to me personally as maybe some in the past. I did the same with the judges. I interviewed them all on Zoom before we were in COVID, before we got here to this day. So I was able to get to a top 10. And then I was like, how do I go from 10 to 3 was the proposal from you. And that was very, very hard. So yeah. Yes, to get to 10, I was pretty comfortable. And many of those people have been spoken about here today. To narrow it to 3 was virtually very, very difficult for me. So I came prepared with a top 4, top 5, top 6, just in case, depending on the will of the body. But I would like a little bit more than 3. I would personally. And I think 5's a great number. And one of the things is that when we add, everybody's on equal status. It's not that we do ranking. In other words, we don't give like our top candidate 5 points and our next candidate 4 points. So everybody so far in our council deliberations have got 1 point. And then we're basically saying they're all on equal level. And then what we've done is we've seen how many points anyone got. It could be 6 or 2, 1. Many people get a 1. There might be somebody that I prefer, or Bonnie prefers, whatever, that might get a 1 that nobody else really picked out of the group. But what there usually is sort of a natural divide that sort of separates itself. So that takes some juggling, to your point, Madam Mayor. So I am totally fine with 5. I think it's a good idea.
Mayor, I came in thinking 3, but now that we have one person missing, I think we would owe it to ourselves to absolutely go with 5. Sorry about that. So I do think that.
Sorry, you're over there.
Left me hanging.
Lone Ranger. Sorry.
I need Ward 5. Somebody
I'm
want
so
Ward
sorry.
5. Madam Mayor, I think 5 would be great. I think 5 with ultimately is it ranking down to a 3. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
So 5
something
then,
like that.
and 5. Take our top 5. We do a calculation, put on a spreadsheet, come back with 3. Is that what I'm hearing?
And I think, did we do that last time?
Yeah.
We did. Okay.
Perfect. Let's do it.
All right. You don't need a motion, do you?
I do not need a motion.
Okay.
So we will
Looks like Mr.
update the selection cards here in just a moment and hand those out to you so you guys can do that if you'd like to take a recess while you all fill out your cards.
Hold on 1 second. I apologize. I skipped over Vice Mayor.
Nope.
See, he thought sitting here in the Vice Mayor seat, he was going to get recognized. He's actually like, who's that?
I'll learn to kick you under the table.
Sorry, Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For my part, I want to start at the beginning, and that is going back a little bit about the process that brought us to today. Obviously, our friend and colleague, Ms. Jardon, has left the body, and under our charter, that required us to make a very initial determination about whether we would do an appointment, which is how I originally made my way to this body and how we have conducted vacancies for the last 30 years, or whether we would do an election. And so it was a difficult choice that the body had to make in order to decide that they wanted to prefer the appointment process. And that was really largely related to the timing of the November election, the inability of us to hold a special election in November, and then the costs associated with that. And then I suppose at the end, the length of time that a person might not be able to be on the body, leaving a vacancy. You can see also when one person is not here, and then one person chooses of their own volition to, in my opinion, violate their oath and not be here, we now have a body of 5, right? So the city of Reno is really disserviced. Certainly the members of Ward 1 are disserviced by it, but that's the process, right? So then the next thing is I want to say thank you to all the applicants. I spent an entire weekend and many sleepless nights. I think I haven't slept well since the process was announced. But each one of those applicants, took the time, energy, and effort to put a little piece of themselves out into the universe, and that's not easy. So for those who are here or on Zoom or thinking about this elsewhere, really, I appreciate that. A functioning democracy requires a lot of moving parts, and as a result, you get different views, you get different people's opinions on who should be in and who should not be. The process is an interesting one because I've been changing my opinion throughout this morning. I mean, you think you come into it with some preconceived notion about what people are like on this stack of paper, and then you meet them at coffee or you talk to them on the phone and you think, well, that person sounds great. And so the idea that some have posited in the community that somehow it's already baked, it's already been chosen, is just flat out wrong. And that's unfortunate that people would sort of foment that kind of, I'll call it anti-democratic, some might call it Trumpian logic. That's just not what's happening. I have been proud to serve on the body. My colleagues are great people. We don't get to connect as often as I would like to, but it is a joy to serve with them. And so for my part, I'm looking for a colleague. It's a job interview. This is not an election. It's a job interview among the folks that are sitting here trying to figure out what is the best. And I'll say, too, that I'm the at-large member, so I represent all of the city of Reno, although I live in Ward 5. So I live in Somerset, and so I have a bit more familiarity with that ward than elsewhere. But I think I've lived in every ward in the city in my lifetime. I'm happy to go along with a 5-person selection. I do think there are natural breaks when it happens that you'll figure out that maybe we'll widow it down to the top 2 or 3 people, but that won't be decided, I don't think, until after we've made those selections. So again, congratulations to all that put the energy into this process. It really doesn't happen without all of you. We're a part in it, obviously, too, and so I'll look forward to the conversations that my colleagues will have.
And Madam Mayor?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll
Councilwoman
just
Duron.
take just a moment. I wanted to echo some of the comments from all my colleagues, but I wanted to be clear, many of you weren't here when we were having to go through this discussion about an election versus an appointment. And I would say quite a few of us, including I was probably very outspoken on this about wanting an election. Why? I thought we had the time. I thought it was perfectly lined up. And number 2, I didn't want to substitute my judgment for the voters of Ward 5, but we are here, and I'm part of this process, and I voted to do it because I believe, certainly one of our roles, and so I too wanted to thank everyone. It is hard to put yourself out there. All of us sitting up here know this. We have been through this screening, this analysis, these debates, the discussion, the presenting yourself. It is a tough process to get elected. And whoever would move forward has got to think about that either way, pro or con, whether you want to do this. We've had many people historically in our region that have gotten appointed and then not chosen to run, and I think that's perfectly fine. They find out that while they appreciate serving, maybe running for office, it's a whole different skill set, isn't for them. So I'm going to echo the mayor that we can only pick one of 36, so that means 35 people don't get picked, but please stay engaged. There are so many places you are needed. And so whether it's writing in a letter, serving on a NAB, staying engaged in an issue that Ward 5 residents care about, that's what you need to do. Because 35 of the applicants will be in that position. And I want to speak to the majority here of those folks. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
And not to mention, I also think, it was just interesting how all this happened because none of us knew that Councilwoman Jardin would be leaving, right? And I absolutely want to thank her for her service. One of the speakers got up and really commended her. I thought that was really classy, and I just, it was just very special to get the opportunity to serve with Councilwoman Jardin. So, that's another thing because I think there's been sentiment out there, it was that, this, like you mentioned, that this was already baked and no one had any idea that she was going to be leaving. So we find ourselves in a position that we've been in before. And I would also say the selections that we made were good selections. And then the voters had the chance to decide after we selected them. So whoever we do select, obviously if you don't care for them or they don't have your views or whatever it is you look for in a candidate, then you will get the opportunity to have your vote heard if they decide to run, if that person ever wants to run. Because to your point, many times it's not something that people really want to put themselves out there. It's tough. They will say terrible things about you. They will tell you you're corrupt. Some of the most horrific things, and it's not an easy job. And now more than ever, quite honestly, at times it's been dangerous. it's been a dangerous job, and people sometimes don't want to put their families through that. So all of you, again, I really commend your strength because you had the courage to put yourself out there. So yes, go right ahead, Councilman, or Vice Mayor Reese.
Well, I thought also, given the structure of how we communicate with one another from the dais, I would share some thoughts about what I looked at in qualities, because what's going to happen now for the public is we're going to receive, I guess, the ranking sheets or the choice selection sheets. We will mark them, and then they'll go back to the clerk who compiles them, and then they'll come back. And I don't think it'll be somewhat anticlimactic after that, because the big reveal will happen, and then we will hear some public comment, and then we will go into recess again, or the meeting will be over. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my thoughts with my colleagues and the community about the selections that I think I'll be making, although between now and when we get into the back room on recess, some things could change in my mind. So first, I really do appreciate a number of the applicants who have some experience already in some facet of city life. Now, that could be a NAB, a board or commission of the city. There are so very many of them. It also could be sort of related community work, right? Many of the candidates have really excellent resumes, and they're all very impressive in their own right. And some focus on, reproductive health justice. Some focus on food security or insecurity. Each one of those, of course, are important topics to me. But so I had to sort of think about what are the things that make for a good colleague. And so I did prefer some of that. The second thing is that not knowing how many people would, we would be able to select as a body, I took the entire 36-person packet and tried to get down to my top 10. I think I ultimately ended up with a top 12. And then I had to go in that packet of 12 persons, and then I had to say kind of high, medium, and low, even within that. And again, that's just explaining a little bit about my process, because I think there will be several persons who could be really capable and qualified of filling that role. It's not like there will be one person that, the light shines down from heaven upon, I don't think. At least doesn't for me. And it's, of course, there's other factors that I've had to think about. Have they run for public office? Have they expressed a willingness to run for public office? Maybe some of my colleagues will say they don't want someone who's interested in serving another, time on the body. They're just sort of a caretaker role. So a lot of different factors that gone into it. But I'll also sort of close by saying I'm also looking for a colleague. This is difficult work at times. It's the honor of my life to do it, but you really have to be able to communicate with one another effectively. You have to be able to leave the dais, and even when you disagree, you have to see people for being friends, colleagues. We don't all get to spend a lot of time with each other off this dais, but I'd certainly like to. So those are my thoughts.
Madam Mayor, I will. Yeah, similar to you, Mr. Reese, I went through a very similar process. 10 was sort of a placeholder. It could have been 11, 12. But I was looking for things, and I'm going to just list down my list. I started with their background. I looked at community service and preferencing city, but also looking more broadly to our whole community, because it could have been for the county, it could have been for Sparks, it could have been for a social justice cause or a nonprofit. I looked at balance amongst us. We are all very different. I don't know if y'all know that, but we come to the table and we're often very different thoughts. And like you, I was looking for a colleague I could talk to, frankly, or seek advice from, or who would bring a different perspective. And I will tell you, this was one of the hardest. It was harder than the judges, frankly.
Yeah.
It was harder. It was harder than almost any selection I've had to make up here so far. So I just wanted to say that, and that there's no perfect. If someone out there is not in my top 5, that doesn't mean I don't respect them or think they're a phenomenal person. It was just that we had to make a choice, and there we go. So thank you.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Weber.
Thank you so much. I too came to the table today with some names and my little list. And then when I hear from the people speaking, this is how it always is. When you hear from those that are interested and have spoken today, it just makes the list get longer. Because truly, some of you I have not met before, some of you I know from being in the community and working in the community, but hearing folks speak here to me was very important, and even the phone calls. So I really appreciate that. I like listening to the folks that supported other of the candidates and why they did. I think it's really important. And one thing that I think we also need to think about is from here, I think we need a little explanation of once these people are selected, I think we need to have someone talk about what's going to happen that for the public to be able to come in and speak with the candidates that we select.
Yeah.
And making sure that the candidates understand that that's what we're doing, the process that where it goes
And I
on.
believe Madam Clerk is prepared to do that.
I was planning on doing it after, but if you'd like me to do it before, I'm happy to do that.
I think it is important.
Well, Madam Mayor, I think one of the reasons why it may be important is because the component of it that requires us, or that we've chosen, allows for some public engagement. And I will just say, the more people you have into those settings, the less public engagement happens with one-on-one. Because I have been through this process, and of course, as you said, it was at large, and so there were, I think, 146 applicants. It got winnowed down to 4. 4 is a lot of people in a small group setting for anyone to get enough time with the members to know. So I'm just, again, this, I think it'll be sorted out when the selections go up and we see what the breaks are. That may help guide us, but that is part of my thinking about why I think it should be fewer rather than more. Does that make sense, Madam Mayor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think a portion of accommodating that similar experience we had in the last time was the first time we did the meet and greet, so that was new to us in your appointment process, Vice Mayor Reese. So this time, to accommodate it even more, we're going to do 2 sessions for our meet and greet. So next week on Tuesday and Wednesday from 5 to 7, we have 2 meet and greet sessions for our finalists to engage with the public. We have put out a call to the Ward 5 constituents and also the city to just say, what questions do you have for these finalists? What things are burning? What kind of desires do you want to know about these individuals going into this appointment process? So on August 30th and August 31st, which again is next Tuesday and Wednesday from 5 to 7, we have 2 public meet and greet sessions. On the 30th, which is Tuesday, we'll be doing a hybrid meeting here at City Hall. So if constituents would like, they can join via Zoom. That website or that link has already been posted on reno.gov. And then on August 31st, which is Wednesday, we'll be holding an in-person only meet and greet session from 5 to 7 at the fire station on Robb and Mayan.
Okay, good.
Meet and greet, not this other one would be more of a Q&A, is what you're saying? Like the candidates would sit up here?
Both of them will be Q&A sessions. They're both curated. I will be asking questions of the individuals. Likely they'll be the same questions. It just depends on what kind of community outreach we receive. So both of them will be a period of time where they're being asked questions directly provided by the public, and then there'll be a portion of time where they can walk around and meet and greet with the individuals that are present.
That's great.
Okay.
All right, so each of you at this point have been provided with your selection card. So if you would like to go ahead and place X's by the top 5, which is what we have decided today, then we will go ahead and collect those and take a brief recess while we tally the numbers.
Okay, I appreciate it. The other thing I do want to remind everyone, and it was so hard because I tried to meet with as many people or call people on the phone as possible. But I want to remind everyone that we have a lot of boards and commissions that are opened here, like from the airport to arts and culture. There's a lot, finance board. So if you really want to be involved, it's such a great way to really sort of get your finger on the pulse. And I believe we're bringing back the Citizens Institute. Yes, we are, which is really, really good. You will really enjoy that. So whatever you do, just please be part of the process. And then, Mr. Whitten, I think you said compromise and collaboration. Wasn't that you, sir? And you couldn't be more spot on. You know, it's not always, you don't always agree with everyone, but when you walk away, we really should respect each other, you know, and compromise is not a bad thing. And I just loved your sentiment very much. So thank you. And I hope you reach out, because I think what you're doing is phenomenal. And we don't know each other well enough, and we need to get to know each other. I would love to come and see exactly what you're doing, because I've heard just phenomenal things about it. So, all right. I feel like we should have the Jeopardy music, you know? It's too quiet. Too quiet. Jackie, what do we have to do? Receipt? What does that mean? You're gonna put your name in? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that
Okay.
it looks like it's been.
Okay. You need it?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that was hard. Tough. So Madam Clerk, do you want us to go into recess? Okay.
It sounds like we'll officially. Okay.
Yes.
All right, then we will be in recess at 1:55 for, until the votes are tabulated, 10 minutes maybe? 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
All right, this special meeting of the Reno City Council is reconvening at 2:23 p.m. with all council members present except for Council Member Breckus.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk.
All right,
the floor
Madam
is
Mayor.
yours.
So my office has had a chance to tabulate the votes, and if you would, go ahead and share them on the screen for us now. All right, so as you can see here, we have tabulated per member. And then at the bottom right-hand corner, we can see that there's a total of 25, just so that we can all confirm that there are 5 members here present, 5 votes each, a total of 25. So our top 3 receiving 4 votes each are Kathleen Taylor, Elliot Mallon, and Alexander Goff. Jacob Williams received 3 votes. I'm going to mess up Z's name. Zelem Bogle received 2 votes. Sonia Garreau received 2 votes. Albert Rogers, 2 votes. Thomas Peterson, Stan Marks, Jacqueline Duron, and Earston Witten all receiving 1 vote. So at this point, I think the decision of the body is how many of those would you like to proceed with as your finalists?
So I think we said the top 3. You know, last time we had a tie in the 4th place. So how does council feel? But
Madam Mayor, I think, yeah, I mean, again, I think as I said before, I would wait to see how the totals broke out. I think what you're referring to is in some prior ones, we had some ties lower down in the section, so it made sense to advance them. So I would just advance the top 3 persons, and that'll mean they all advance to the public community engagement forums, and then we'll figure it out from there. But I do think it's worth saying all the candidates, again, were fantastic. You can see that we on the body have quite a divergence of thought about it, and you know, I just think it was a good process, so thank you.
And obviously, my selfish side, you know, that candidate was also someone I chose, so I want to stay fair to the process. Just, okay. See, these are always so hard. Okay, what would you like us to do, Madam Clerk?
So I'm seeking a motion for, I think, the named candidates that you would like to move forward into the finalist position. So I need a motion with the names.
Okay, so I will hand it over to Vice Mayor.
Madam Mayor, for the process of selecting the Ward 5 member, I would move to advance in no order Kathleen Taylor, Elliot Malin, and Alexander Goff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Yes, go ahead, Councilwoman Brewer.
I just want to say for the others that got any number of votes, like, kudos to you, because you impressed us in some way, form, or fashion. And I was very impressed by what was said here today. And I think all of those that we're not going to interview third time, we're going to say, please get involved with a city thing, right? A community. You're already community activists, otherwise you wouldn't even be on these lists. So, you know, you have an opportunity to step it up, perhaps. And I'd love to see that.
And to all the folks here that applied.
Are you crying, Bonnie?
But we feel like crying.
I feel like it. I know I was nervous the whole time. So, okay, Madam Clerk, what would you like us to do now? Sending it to Mr. Clerk.
I believe that is it for that item. And we are going to move on to item C, which is our final public comment.
Okay.
We do
Right
have
back to you.
Tom Dunn signed up.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Mr. City Manager, members of the council. For the record, Tom Dunn, representing the Reno Firefighters Association. First and foremost, I'd like to thank former Councilwoman Neoma Jardin for her dedication, her commitment, and the fine work that she's done for the city of Reno and our community as a whole. Like you guys, I was completely surprised when we saw that she was resigning her position and everything. So we wish her all the best in her future endeavors, and we hope to see her around our community. Over the last year, I've had the privilege of representing firefighters at the local level here at the city of Reno, at the state level, at Carson City, at the legislature, in Washington, D.C., at the federal level, and also this summer in Canada at a firefighters conference there. And I can tell you that the issues that you guys are dealing with are across our country. There is division of politics, there is division of community, there is division of ideas. And one of the things I wanted to say to everybody in the audience here today, all the candidates, everybody watching at home and on the news tonight, is we cannot move our community, we cannot move our country, and we cannot move our neighborhoods forward until we get a place where we can reach consensus, and we can find a place where there's things that we can agree on, regardless of the politics at hand, regardless of the division at hand. We cannot move forward as a community. We cannot move our state forward, our region forward, until we find what that common thread is. And I think what we see today, that common thread is there are, like you guys said, there is a phenomenal amount of talent in this candidate pool. And I echo the comments of council today is get involved. And if you're already involved, stay involved, and those at home, those in our community, we need volunteers. We need people that are willing to step up for our community at all levels. It's the city council level. It is the boards and commissions level throughout local and regional government. It's in our schools. We need people to volunteer in our schools. We need people to volunteer on committees at the school district level too. So on behalf of the Reno Firefighters Association, thank you to those candidates, or congratulations to those candidates that are moving on. And for those candidates that did not move on today, thank you for your commitment to our community. And we would love to see you out there as well. Thank you.
Great job, Tom. Awesome.
So that is all we have in-house. I don't see anyone raising their hand on Zoom, and I'm going to shut that up right now. We did receive 10 comments which were general in nature or not directly associated with an agenda item after 4 p.m. on August 24th, 2022. These comments were written correspondence received via the online public comment form or by email. Copies of the comments have been distributed to the Reno City Council and are available to the public on the reno.gov meeting portal. 9 were in favor, 1 was expressing concern. And in addition, we do have 3 voicemails that we are going to play. Oh, we just had someone raise their hand on Zoom if you'd like to take them. And their name is Dorley Martinez.
Okay. Dorley. I think she's my appointment. My appointee. She's on my, yeah. Dora, hello.
Hello, Mayor Shibi. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor Shibi. Thank you so much. This is Dora Martinez. I'm representing Nevada Disability Peer Action Coalition, and I just want to say, I'm always want to give where credit is due, and I always appreciate you and the council members, but especially you, because you are sitting at the RTC Commission and the many others, but the things that come to mind is the RAAC meeting, and you've always included people with disability, and that's where I come in. We want our city to be included and equitable and transparent for all, and you are doing that, and I appreciate all of you. We just had a meeting early today, and Devin Reese, I hope he doesn't mind that I share this. He was doing audio description for himself, and all this time, Mayor Shibi, as I said, I'm blind. I thought he was African American, and he's not. So it's a little laughing matter. As a blind person, you kind of think they are, and they're not. So I appreciate all of you guys, and I'm so grateful and glad. And for Alex Koff, he sits on the HR, as he said, and also the Book Rehab Council for people with disabilities. And I hope the fire station is accessible, because I am bringing friends to speak. And also, I'm so grateful for your clerk. She always goes out of her way to help me get connected and have Zoom opportunity for people with underlying health issues and people with disability that cannot get out of their apartment. So bless you, Mayor Shibi. I absolutely, wholeheartedly support you, and I'm kind of getting in tears, but I appreciate all that you do. Thank you. I'll be mute now.
Well, you are very kind. Thank you so much. I always say that's not what my email says about me. But Dora, let me ask you, is that your first meeting? Because you're my appointee on Access. Is that your first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Oh, good, because I want to find out how everything's going and help with the initiatives you want to see. So I look forward to it. And thank you so much for your service. I'm very grateful.
And Mayor Shibi, you do bring in the, nothing about us without us sort of like a terminology that people with disability do, because you are incorporating diversity and equity. I'm sorry. I'm just give me a minute. A diversity and inclusion for all. Look at all the audio pedestrian signals. I walk, and a lot of people, not just me, uses, but some other folks who can't read or see the light across the McCarran. They feel the arrow and it vibrates and they go. So the APS and all the wide sidewalks, and we just appreciate you. And hopefully the Moena, the new pool recreation, will have the same idea, including us when we're baking the cake. So we sort of incorporate it into it rather than trying to put the flour after it's already baked. So
Isn't
thank
that
you.
so true? And we will absolutely at Moana, but you are absolutely spot on. So thank you so much. And we still have a lot more work to do. And I look
Yes.
forward to you spearheading that because you're on Access. So thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
You're the best.
Hi, Dora.
And we'll do a take 2 on the voicemails now, as there's no one else with their hand raised.
Hi, I wanted to take a moment to make sure that y'all heard about Tara Webster. I heard she is running for the Reno City Council Ward 5 position. And I don't know Tara incredibly well on a personal level, but we've worked together for a couple of years as PhD students. And from what I know of her and our interaction, she is an incredibly passionate person for Reno and doing what is right for our community. I know she has always been the first one to volunteer or to speak up when she has seen some sort of wrong that can be righted in our community. And she is so selfless with her use of time and her energy and resources. And in her current position, which is not in the city council, she has already gone above and beyond to do what is right for our city. I can only imagine how that would be magnified tenfold if she was given a position in the city council to help do what's best for our group. So I think she would be just an incredible candidate for this position, and I really hope you consider her. Have a good day. Bye.
Hello, I'd like to, so I know it's late for Tara Webster in Ward 5. I definitely would love to comment that she is a wonderful person, strong-willed, and has a very deep desire to help others and really engage in community activity, and would definitely be a value to your organization. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and City Council. For the record, my name is Henry Sotelo. I am a local criminal law lawyer who serves as a Reno Municipal Court appointed attorney. I am also assigned to Reno Municipal Court Specialty Court. I am a judicial candidate for Reno Municipal Court, Department 4, the Community Court. I want to congratulate everyone that applied to serve as the next Ward 5 Reno City Council member. I am a 25-year Ward 5 resident myself, and I am hopeful that the appointment process will be open, transparent, and representative of a dedication to the public good, and most importantly, will result in the appointment of the person most qualified and committed to represent the citizens of Northwest Reno. I want to personally invite all of the applicants to familiarize themselves with the Reno Municipal Court and learn more about the good work our teams are doing there. You can contact me directly to serve as your liaison for this purpose. Thank you for your time and for your service to the Reno community.
Madam Mayor, that does take us to the end of public comment, and I think all we're looking for now is a motion to adjourn.
All right. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Again, I always say, what if we did not approve that motion? Can I just keep you here? No? Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, everyone.